It's rolling in the grass.
There she is. Oh, no, she has all on the bench. She was like in the chair. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call the May school board meeting to order. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. We have quite the crowd tonight. Well, welcome. If you would like to address the board, please sign in over there. Any announcements? All right, Superintendent Stuckey, leads awards.
Thank you, Chair Bao. Tonight, we honor Mount Angel School District students for excellence. The LEADS Award exemplifies the best of what our students offer to their peers, their school, and their community. LEADS stands for L, leadership, contributions in and for the student body or the school, and or representation of the school in events. E, effort, short or long-term improvement in individual practices. A, achievement, unique skills the student represents for the school or demonstrates in the school. Diversity and inclusion, contributions that increase practices of inclusion for all students in the school and the school district. And S, service, contributions in and for the community and or for the school. Tonight, we recognize one student from each school who has demonstrated one of the LEADS characteristics. Each student stands out as a model of excellence for others. Tonight, each building principal will share with us what is unique about that student. And I'd like to start with Mrs. Brenton.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Superintendent Stuckey. Before I read what's on my paper here, you should know that at JFK, the process for selecting a LEADS Award winner is open to students and staff alike for them to nominate anybody, and then a group of leadership of the school then selects from the list of nominees. So this was submitted by a student who writes hyperbolically. So there you go. That's what this is about. I'll do my best to read in the voice of the student who nominated. But our LEADS Award winner for JFK is Jung Im in the category of service. His nominator, who is a fellow student, says this about him. Jung Im helps wherever he can, whether you're in deep or standing on top of everything. Whether it's important or not, Jung Im gives it his all. Jung Im laughs in the face of achievement, going above and beyond the stars in his accomplishments. Jung Im spits in the face of inequality. Jung Im is the very definition of leadership, integrity, service, guidance, honesty, achievement, effort, and diversity. Jung Im goes 100%, 110%, the extra mile, and always wakes up on the right side of the bed. The sun wakes up to Jung Im, ready to tackle the day. I would not be where I am today without the assistance of the true leader and friend that is Jung Im. Now, hyperbolic, yes, but these things are true. He's very sunshiny and he's a really big helper. Yeah. So please join me in congratulating Jung Im as the John F. Kennedy LEADS student for May.
All right, Mr. Taylor.
Right, this is Mila Zubin. And I couldn't be more proud. You have been nominated by your teachers. And these are some words that they've said. So Mila Zwicky Olson is a 6th grader. Well, she's really a 7th grader minus 5 weeks. She is a ray of sunshine and a marvelous student and a cheerleader for basketball. Mila is a hard worker in all of her classes and she is always willing to lead a helping hand to others. She has the kindest smile and personality. She makes the classroom a more welcoming and joyful place to learn. Mila is also a straight A student and a member of the advanced math group. She is well deserving of this month's Leads Award. Please join me in congratulating Mila.
Down out of town.
Perfect, thank you.
This is French.
Hey.
You can hang out with me.
This is Candy, everyone. And she is, I can already tell you, she is wonderful. I don't even have to read this, but I will. Mrs. Jarnigan wrote this about Candy. The student I am nominating for the Leads Award is Candy Martinez Garcia. I nominated Candy because she exhibits strong effort in the classroom. Candy is always working hard on each of her classroom assignments. Whether we are working on math and she joins a small group to get a concept clarified, or ELA by making sure she is completing each of her writing assignments. Candy wants to make sure she is understanding each of the topics we are working on. She even goes the extra mile to take notes that she is not asked to take. For example, when we had an SEL lesson with our school counselor, Candy asked to take notes so she could better remember what we learned. She is even able to work through classroom distractions and be a role model to other students in the room by staying focused on her schoolwork, asking questions when she's unsure how to do something, and by being a positive and happy student. So that's what it is.
All right, Candy Mila, can you please join us over there for a picture?
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Families, thank you for joining us. You're more than welcome to leave at this time if you would like. All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Mr. Kaufman, JFK.
Okay.
Chip.
So we had our AP testing last week. I think we're having some next week for people who couldn't do it last week. And I'm very glad it's over. We also had college decision day today. So the seniors got to like almost announce where they're going to college. And to answer your question, it's 34 days until the last day of school. So I am very excited for this vacation. And starting off with ASB for groups, it's good prom. I hear I didn't go because I sent my sister's wedding. We had teacher appreciation week. And this year we had like themes where they were like the stars of the show. So that was really cute. And we have ASB body elections next week, I think. for president, vice president, for all those grades. For FA, our banquet is gonna be Wednesday, and we have about 70 people going, at the parish church. And then we're gonna have our green hand ceremony, so that's for first years, we have our senior awards and our new officers coming in. And then for FBLA Nationals, that's gonna be June 24th to the 27th in Orlando. And I'm not sure if more people are going, if people aren't able to go, but I know that we have one person. So otherwise, I have nothing else.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Man's leadership.
Hello, I hope all of you are doing well this evening. I'm MJ, this year's president for MAMS, and this is Vivian, our fundraising chairwoman. Today we'll be talking about what we have achieved for MAMS this year.
We have hosted several successful events at MAMS this year. In the fall, we celebrated Kindness Month. We also had our fall dance with 107 students attending.
During the winter, we had our annual winter assembly. It was amazing. We had fun games like a life-size game of the Hungry Hungry Hippos. We also had our Spirit Week. Mrs. Wacker's class was able to keep their streak, winning the trophy once again. We were able to collect 616 items for the food and toy drive. Our winter dance was attended by 98 students. This winter, we also had a sports and gear drive. This is where we collected equipment to assist our athletes and teams. We collected almost 40 items to support our sports. This was a grade level contest. The sixth graders won, and they won an ice cream party.
This spring has been very busy. We honored our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week by creating acrostic poems with their names and posting them outside of their classrooms. Mrs. Traeger's class won the Spring Spirit Contest and the trophy. Our community service project, Penny Drive, raised $555.79, which will go to St. Joseph's Family Transition Center here in Mount Angel.
Our spring dance is coming up on May 24th. The theme is Glow in the Dark Hawaiian. We are making sure to go all out this dance to celebrate the ending of the SBAC testing. It is almost that time of year again, so we're having our leadership elections and all of our other end of the year stuff, such as the talent show, field day, and promotion. Our yearbooks are also complete and will be arriving in 2 weeks. We also want to invite you all to our promotion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you both eighth graders then?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Almost been done.
Thank you. You are all welcome to come to field day and check out the water slide if you.
Thank you for your time today. We've had a great year at Mount Angel Middle School.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to the agenda.
I will move to approve the agenda.
A motion, and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Consent items over the board meeting minutes from last month, as well as our work session, disbursements and personnel actions. Anything that we want to pull out? Okay, seeing as there's nothing to pull out, I would accept the motion.
I move that we approve the consent items as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Moving on to reports. Do we have any licensed or classified representatives? Online, okay, thank you. Moving on to administrator reports. Seeing as though JFK is first in our packet. This is Brendan, are you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, for Director Gordon, okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Rock, paper, scissors, you know, Roshan.
Yeah.
I'm here to provide an update on our school improvement plan for JFK. So we have two areas. One was in the achievement area of literacy, and then the other was in climate. I'll just highlight a few things for you. One, is that in literacy, the goal that we wrote was based on reports that we get from MAP, the MAP system. And then the MAP system had a big revamp and those reports are no longer available. So not all completely, but the part of the SMART goal that talked about students meeting their growth goal. Well, both of them really. I will figure out the average RIT scores and get that final data to you because that's figure outable, but it's not in a report. So I'll do the figure outing and make sure that you have the data that ends, that we all do, really, it's our plan. And then the growth goal, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'll get something fabulous to you. Just wanted to point out that the data I thought I was going to have, I no longer have access to. But we did make some growth. I did disaggregate the growth under progress being made. So in reading growth, we are in the 39th percentile for all Hispanic students and the 53rd percentile for all Hispanic students. So reading growth is like, oh gosh, it's like percentile stacked on percentile. So students, first of all, their growth from one test period to another, is their growth, is how much growth. Then all of the students are stacked from the people who made the least amount of growth to the most amount of growth. And then that sets their percentile growth for growth. So in our, for the amount of growth made, the Hispanic students identifying as Hispanic are at the 39th percentile for growth. So 38% of the students who took the assessment grew less than the students who identify as Hispanic. Sorry, it's confusing. And then we're at the 53rd percentile for our non-Hispanic students. So our non-Hispanic students are growing more rapidly. They're outpacing their peers nationally. That is not true for our Hispanic identifying students. And for achievement, so this is just achievement, just a one-time measure in the winter. Again, students ranked from the least achievement to the highest achievement. And so we're at the 35th percentile for students who identify as Hispanic, and then 62nd for non-Hispanic. So a big gap there that causes us to ask a lot of questions, which we have put under success. Because when data comes in that's confusing and you start asking questions instead of playing the blame game, it means that you're poised to learn. And we have a lot of learning to do. I think nationally, there's a lot of learning to do. So we're in a place of learning. Roadblocks that I really wanted to point out is that the culture around MAP assessment really urges students to opt out or to not give it their best. And so we want to shift the culture around achievement and MAP data specifically. So for example, some of our coaches went to Stanfield and walked through the school and they saw some things with MAP assessments and they thought, that's cool. They're talking about data differently than we are. So, wow, that's really exciting that they're looking for those things and want to bring them back to our schools. So we really need to shift the culture around MAP. We need to make sure that students are setting realistic goals. We want to make sure that they're working toward those goals. So there's some work to do there. And then we do have my bottom bullet was the other one I wanted to point out. Persistence in the Hispanic versus non-Hispanic achievement gap is really difficult to pinpoint. I think there's some cultural things we can try to consider and think about and address and bring in the right voices when we're making decisions around school procedures and systems and processes. So it's our achievement. That I can pause for questions about that?
With MAPS testing, is there a bit of burnout by the time they get to high school? With MAPS testing, they're taking that 3 times a year, or some of them have been for K-8.
I don't know if it's burnout with MAP or burnout with a constant barrage of standardized tests and surveys. And you'll see in my next section where I drew a line. And so we're not gonna do that one.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're reading, you have the Hispanic and the non-Hispanic. Is it possible to disaggregate? I was just wondering how many are so limited English proficient that it's bringing down your scores versus if you kind of
Yeah.
disaggregated some of that and said, these kids are limited English and that's why this is how much they're.
Yeah.
Just wondering if that would kind of help or kind of,
Definitely, it would give us another
yeah.
lens to look
Because you
through.
piled them all together and I was just like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the Hispanic group at school, this many, like there's actually very few
Very
who are
few.
fall into the current language learner. So it feels more like a cultural,
A cultural thing.
yeah, more than a language. But great to look at the data.
Okay,
also.
that's interesting. Thank you.
Sure, is. Other achievement questions? Okay, let's move on to the climate update. Huge mistake I made. I'm gonna call that out first. When I did the attendance, progress being made, that bulleted list that's about halfway down that page. I reported on attenders, not attendance. Duh, dang it, realized my mistake today. So, what I show in the numbers is the attenders who have above 90% attendance. So tons of celebrations there, first of all. I was pretty excited about the numbers. The other celebration is in the actual numbers that I said we would be collecting, which is that the attendance rate would be 90 to 95% or better for those groups. For all the groups, the attendance rate as an average for those groups, for all the two groups are in the 90 to 100% range. So that's super exciting. The two groups who don't have that are in the high 80s with IEP, students who are on an IEP, they're at 86.4%. And students who qualify for McKinney-Vento services are 86%. So nobody dredging the bottom. So that's good news. There's still always work to be done with attendance. The other part of this goal had to do with the belonging survey. And then we also had DESA, the DESA survey that we would come back to as we took it in the spring. So I put 20 for the three measures in the belonging survey that we really wanted to progress monitor this with. The three measures where the principal knows me by name, talks to me and listens to me, adults at my school know I can do good work, and adults at my school are friendly to me. I gave you the 2023 and the 2024 results from the belonging survey in the bar graphs. So you can see there, not huge changes in the data. Which is good, they're positive.
I think it's kind of misleading though, because
It is.
the bar graph on the right is up to 60, the bar graph on the left is up to 50.
Units. For sure. Would you like me
So I think
to
there's a.
standardize the units on the side and
Well,
bring it back next
like, I
time?
think there's an
Sure.
improvement there. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
you just glance at it, you would say, not really an improvement, but I would say that if you look at the numbers, there actually is a
might be.
big improvement in that area.
Okay, I'll standardize the scale and fair enough.
Feel better about your day.
Okay, all right. As I was looking at this data, I just kept thinking, when I set those three things as goals, it's because I thought 3 and 4 were not positive. So I saw lots of 3s and lots of 4s, and I saw these graphs and I thought, uh-oh, that's not good that those bars are so high. So that's why I set them as goals. It turns out those are
It's a good thing.
good.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, so. New principal, too many details coming at me all at once, and I just got something backwards. That's okay. I'll standardize the scale and maybe we'll all feel better. Let's see, attendance has improved over the last year. So going down below to successes on this. I did want to highlight the attendance has improved over the last year for all student groups, with the exception of tagged students. There's 2 tagged students had extended illnesses and needed to be out, so that really skewed our data on tag. And then roadblocks, I did, because of what I mentioned earlier in response to Mr. Brendan's question, I did say we're not going to use the DESA data in a really thorough, complete way to actually make a difference to the lives of students. So I really think that we shouldn't take it this year. We have AP testing, we have SBAC testing, we have more SBAC testing, we have surveys, we have so many things that we put kids through. I felt like this didn't feel like the payoff was worth the investment of time. And so I did make the decision to not administer DESA in the spring. And that's temporary because I want to come back to DESA. There's good data there, but I want to do it with a plan to use the data, as with all other measurement tools that we have. That is what I needed to share with our climate piece of our school improvement plan. Did you have questions about that part?
I just want to commend you for doing a great job.
Thanks.
First year principal, on top of so much data, so much attendance, attendee, all this other stuff. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, questions about climate? Anything? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
I want to start with an apology if I sound, I have a raging headache, so I apologize if I sound incoherent there. So our first goal has to do with kids needing intervention. And we broke that down further by identifying attendance as one of the leading indicators to support that. Missing assignments also being a leading indicator, and want to talk through both of those. So we are at 93.17%. That's attendance, not attender. That is up from last year at 91.44%, and it really has stabilized. So what that's telling us is we need a new goal. And we have identified that attender, now that we've stabilized, the attender data, those that are chronically absent, is really the target now that we've stabilized that we want to focus on for next year. And as I've identified in a couple of other meetings, there are lots of different reasons for that. One of them is medical. We have kids that have medical needs and they're out for extended periods of time. The question is, how might we help those families through that process, given that the medical process can be complicated for some and difficult, and what services could we provide or offer to them to support them in that area? And we have begun that process. So we have 2 students that we are currently working with that have some medical issues. And we have engaged with Teresa Murphy or Teresa in meeting with those families and with those parents. We've also engaged with our nurse and asked him to get involved in that process as well. So we're starting some new processes to say, okay, chronically absent, what is the problem and how can we provide services into that individual or that group of individuals? The second one is missing assignments. So at the end of last year, we had an exorbitant amount of Ds and Fs, which I'm not proud about. And we have brought that down to about 31 students. So now that that has stabilized, now that we have our systems and processes in, the question is, what do we do with and support of those students that continue to have missing assignments that are driving the majority of those Ds and Fs? And we have determined, yes, it is the main driver of Ds and Fs are missing assignments. Of course, many of you are teachers or connected to teachers, so you know, as a teacher, if you don't get an assignment, you don't know what they do or do not know. You can't make a guess at what they do or do not know. So that was our first attempt, and again, that is stabilized. We're at about 31 students. There is a chronic side of that too, much like attendance. And there is a direct tie to attendance and to the chronic attendance problem. So these things are all directly connected. So for next year, we're going to do something different with our goals, and this is per some work we've done with Studer in the direction of the superintendent. We have gotten together with our staff and we have already built our first 9-week goals for next year. And here's our thinking. We want to go in 9-week cycles here. So you're going to hear either the same goal with a different version to it or a new goal every 9 weeks when I come next year. So next year, building common processes, routines for students that miss days so that students know in every class what to do when they return from being out. Make the processes visual, teach, reteach, and communicate processes to parents and solicit their support to have students stay after school where possible to get caught up. What we found is that our teachers have different processes when you return. We've identified a standardized process we would like to use. And that way, regardless of what class you're in, if you've been away for a time, even be it a day, you know when you walk in, there will be a large arm movement, which will take you to the folders that are across. We've got, simple things. It sounds simple, but you run 24 copies. 2 students aren't there. Hand 2 copies to a kid, write their name on the top of those 2 copies. Stick it into a file folder that's, right there. Kid comes in, hey, we're so happy you're here. Large arm movement happens. Please go to the file folders over there and get the copies. That doesn't solve the problem because kids need instruction to do the work. So then it's engaging with parents in a conversation about work doesn't stop because your kid didn't come to school. They aren't going to be able to necessarily get yesterday's instruction today while the teacher is giving today's instruction. So we're going to ask you to support us in your kiddo staying after school. We have after school support in the library Monday through Friday. We plan on doing that again next year. It's been a massive success. And we are having somewhere between 12 and 15 kids every single day in the library after school. And it's now become part of their routine. And we'll continue to add on this until we solve the problem. So again, about 30 kids with D's and F's connected to this group of kiddos that have chronic absenteeism. They're definitely connected between the two. We need to get more people involved in the conversation. The next one is thriving students. Has to do with getting students involved in extracurriculars. As you know, I count every single kid by name that goes to an extracurricular event, including the dance that we've got coming up and every sports activity that we have. So we're about at 81, 82%. That has stabilized. And what we've learned from that is that extracurricular activities, after school activities, are not for every parent and not for every kid. We have interdistrict transfers that get in cars and drive off campus. They go to Salem, they go to Silverton. The chances of trying to lure them back in on campus for a dance might be a big ask there. So we are looking to survey kids again. We surveyed them last year, but we want to do it again at the beginning of the year to see what their interests are. And then we're going to build wolf den activities for them. We've used an RTI day structure this year, last year to support their academics. We'd like to use a wolf den RTI day, 35 minutes every once in a while to support their interests and connection to the school. We're going to do that for the first 9 weeks. We're going to collect data before and after. We're gonna take a look at what we did and how we did, and then we'll tool and retool until, again, we get a stasis, and then we'll come on to a new problem. We'll find a new problem that we want to solve. So those are the two things that were on this report for this year. We are in the midst of SBAC testing right now. In fact, Mr. Brendan was there to help us out with some ELA SBAC testing. We won't get results on that for some time. We will be done SBAC testing minus the stragglers, those kids that need extra time or miss days, by the end of next week. Luckily, this year, the SBAC testing window is further into June. We don't anticipate that we'll need to go that far into June. And Mr. Brendan was there. It's when we're testing, it's quiet and it's engaged and it's important, and it's we build an hour in the day. We take that Wednesday morning hour and we put it after second period. Why after second period? Because we have late students to school and we don't want them to miss that. And everybody tests in the entire building. Here's the message. Does not matter if you're a PE teacher, a language arts teacher, a math teacher, a social studies teacher. This is important, and it's important to everybody. Now, is it everything? No, it's a data point. But is it important? Yes. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right, and we're going to give it to the importance that it needs. Questions?
I'm just like impressed that you have new goals because you met those goals that you have. It's just wonderful. You know, it's good problems to have.
It is. And here's a thought. Once you build systems to stabilize, that doesn't mean that you solve the problem.
Right.
It does mean it's time to look for new problems. So that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. French.
Good evening, everyone. So I will walk you through our SIP quarterly update here. I always ground myself with the sentence kind of at the top, you know, our overall desired outcome is to cultivate the individuality of every student so that they are capable learners and problem solvers. I think about our guiding coalition that we meet with weekly, and they are bound and determined to meet the goals that are in that SIP plan. And then we spend a lot of time talking about strategies and action steps and implementing them and seeing how they're working. I'm looking forward to continuing that work. So I wanted to share what we're currently implementing right now. So currently we're working on implementing ELD instruction by posting language objectives and connecting them to lessons. And with the help of Director Gordon, we're going into classrooms and we are doing little walkthroughs to see that they're posted and just to see how teachers are doing. Because we're also state testing, we want to be careful. We're careful when we go in, first of all, but also just seeing how they're doing. And I'm encouraging them to say, some people were kind of hesitant or worried about it. And I said, just do your best. Just, you know how you start, you post the poster and you just get going. We can't always, nothing is going to be perfect. We have to just dive in. So that's one way we're working towards addressing our ELD students. We're also refining as we speak our master schedule for next year. That research says one way to see a school's priorities is to look at their master schedule, and you will see that. One beautiful thing that they did last year was they identified the tier instruction when it's going to happen. That's a great start in the right direction. Right now, we're looking at our ELD instruction and exactly when is that happening? It is called out in the master schedule, but is it really happening there? There's two ways you can do explicit instruction. You can embed it, right, during your reading and math and your other core curriculum, or you can set aside time to explicitly teach those language objectives. So we're grappling with how should that look? A master teacher can embed it, but sometimes a teacher that is not that confident really needs to call it out and teach it explicitly until they are confident in embedding that. So as you know, we're continuing this year to use Easy CBM data for both math and reading to target our students' learning needs. Our intervention specialist, does a beautiful job, using that data with all of our groups and targeting our both reading and math. We are stronger, I'm sure, at the reading piece where we're creating our reading groups. We do it for math as well. But the problem with Easy CBM, and I've shared this, is the strand data is not, well, there isn't any strand data. And so it doesn't give you that target. What are you targeting? What is the missing skill set? So I'm looking forward to shifting to MAPS, and I'm excited because I will have 2 partners that already use it, which will be helpful. So let's dive into the data. I look at reading, and you can see in reading, for the most part, everybody improved. There was a huge improvement for first grade, but there was what I call the slide in 5th grade. We just closed the window for Easy CBM, so I will crunch the numbers, and the next time I come to you, I'm going to share with you our Hispanic students because I did that last time. So you can see that there. And remember, as we move through this kind of a moving target, as it should, it gets more challenging. And then if you look at math is not going great. That's just the bottom line. We need to focus in on that. I am hopeful and excited about our new math adoption, just because I have experience with iReady and the assessment tool that goes with it. I know that does provide that strand data that we're hoping for. And it also provides those targeted lessons that will help teachers out with that. And we will continue to build our interventions with those tools. I will stop there before I dive into some of the other things I wanted to highlight. Any questions?
So are you dropping ECBM for next year?
Yes, and we're gonna replace it with MAPS.
Okay.
Good. So kind of reviewing our spring data, steps have been taken so I'm highlighting just simply, steps have been taken to improve explicit ELD language instruction in the classroom, and that will continue. And our roadblocks are just, we talk about not having up-to-date materials. Well, with math, we have it. And so I look forward to implementing that. And I know that it has a strong assessment component. And then I want to share that our guiding coalition, as well as our whole staff, we have finalized our essential standards for both core areas of math and reading. We're doing what's called verifying right now, where I look at that and make sure there's no gaps, and that we have chosen standards that are going to get us where we need to be at each grade level. Any questions about that? Okay, and then finally, DESA will be given one last time. We do it in early June. But right now, the DESA data that we had from end of January, we are still working through. Our counselor is seeing small groups that were built off that, and we're still cycling through, and we're hoping to see an improvement in June. We also have been really focused on attendance, and next year when we begin to get to change up some of our goals, I look forward to possibly including that in our St. Mary's data as well. Any questions for you? All right, thank you very much.
Director Gordon.
Mine's a regular report, and both Kathleen and Jeff have already spoken about a few things, but I do have audit reports to report back. So federal programs, there were 2 different ones. Title III was like its own, and everything else was like lumped into one. But our federal programs one is done, complete, 100% compliance. So big celebration there. And then for Title III, there was feedback on 6 questions, and I'm really kind of dividing it into what's like easy peasy. They're just difficult, like they wanted this website link instead of this website link, or put it in this format and not this format. So those are easy submissions. And then there's 2 that are going to require more. And it's really around our dual identified students. So our students who are ELs and identified as students with a disability. And they want all of our IEPs revised to include, so we have to do a review on every single dual identified IEP. And so I have a system for that. I built out the spreadsheets, and I've already met with JFK and their case manager. I have to submit that comprehensive review, and then every IEP in our district for dual identified kids will need to be revised to include specific Title III language. So that was a surprise because that is not a requirement of the IDEA. Would have been nice to know ahead of time. So that'll take a little bit of time to complete, but we're on it. Otherwise, I just wanted to add on the celebration that Kathleen was sharing about the focus here for ELD. We started the PDSA change cycle around so instruction, and then we're continuing that work, and we already had 30 observations so we had some data to start reviewing with the teachers. And last Wednesday, we set up in here and we had different tables for teachers to rotate through. And so I had walkthrough data for teachers. Will, who is our ELD TOSA, had ELPA data. Mrs. Goen had Tier 2 data, and it was staff appreciation, so breakfast was a rotation, so they got to have their breakfast. So it was going to be essential standards, but we had to be flexible. Kathleen had to think on the fly, and so we split into grade level teams, so we got to review data with them. And I just want to speak on my behalf. It was really, really powerful to be able to sit down, if you're a kindergarten teacher and you're a kindergarten teacher, to be able to sit down, reflect on, walk through data, look at baseline, when we did the training, and then see the post-training data and reflect on growth and set some goals, because we'll do that same cycle again in 3 weeks and be like, okay, in the next 3 weeks, what are you going to focus on for your instruction, so that when we come back, we can reflect on hopefully that growth too. And so it's cool to see teachers really excited and to see to be able to show growth when it's May, and it's really hard right now, right? Because May is hard in education. So that's been really fun, and it's been really great to just be putting things into practice. I also wanted to share most of our UPA results have come back, and we already have, I think, 12 kids who have exited. So that's 12 million% growth over last year. So that's a huge celebration as well. And so ELPA now gives, so not only is it you passed, you didn't pass, but it also shows their actual proficiency growth. And so even if students didn't pass, it'll show if they are on track, if they are actually progressing. And so the number of students that we have progressing is actually really exciting as well. And so I'll be able to have that data for you in June's board meeting. I think, let's see, Jeff already shared about attendance. We had the teacher workday on April 15th. So I think really connecting with some of our local partners, getting more involved with St. Joseph's, which is also known as TLC, the Transitional Living Center, took our counselors who haven't been there before. So took them for an on-site visit, which I think is really powerful to see really what's going on. And then, so that was on April 15th. On May 1st, so TLC has partnered with an agency called Fostering Hope Initiative, FHI, because we need more acronyms in our world. So they came out May 1st to our counseling team meeting to review what services they offer and what that looks like. And they are essentially a multidisciplinary team that offers a range of services. They're also going to be offering case management and those sorts of things. So we're going to be looking at how we can start referrals for other kids in our district who are not necessarily TLC families. So That is super exciting. And then a shout out to our wellness team and our staff. We have some seriously competitive people in our district. If you don't know, they are walking fools, and several of them are here. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have made their little teams, and they are walking all the time to see who's walking around. I don't know, what part of the world are you walking in? You're winning. The district office team is winning. And so it's been super fun. I am not a part of it, so I can't take credit, but these ladies can. We have $100 benefit for everybody towards shoes. Every month, Stacy brings healthy snacks. We got asparagus this month, so it's just been, that was a grant that was like pre-COVID that I wrote, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and it was like, how do you do wellness in COVID times? And so now it's like, oh, 5 years later, we can actually like do something. So it's been really fun. We got water bottles, which the CTE kids did all the engraving on the water bottles, so we all got our names. Someone have my water bottles over there anyway. They engraved our names on them. There we go. Mine has extra stickers, but yeah, this is Brendan. And they did the stickers, so just like really cool to see, everybody come together.
I have a question.
And thanks for the cupcakes. They were stupid good.
I told you they were stupid.
Stupid good.
There might be some more left in the fridge, so we can stop by and get another one. Job fairs, it says,
Yeah.
have any luck finding the right
No.
jobs? What jobs are we specifically like targeting right now? Cause I know we got a counselor at the high school.
So when we did the job fairs,
Okay.
we were looking for high school SPAD, high school counselor.
Yep.
I was also hoping to maybe sort of find like, the unicorn who might want to support some of our behavior kids. That was on the DL. This is a recorded meeting, so it's not anymore. So I tried.
No unicorns, but we.
No unicorns.
We spent teacher now and we have a
Yes.
counselor, so that's great.
Yeah. But it was, job fairs were really interesting. I don't know if it's just as we shift into a digital world, if job fairs might change too. WFP canceled theirs. TSU didn't have one. Jeff went to Western. The Portland one was almost empty. Oregon State I went to, and everyone was in their pajamas. And nobody had a paper resume. It was very different. I'm not kidding. It was very odd. So, I mean, sweatpants was like dressed up. I'm not kidding you.
I believe you.
It was like, I think I'll just walk in and see what's going on. It was very different. And this,
As you said, different times.
it's, yeah. So I just wonder if. I don't know.
That one person bought the resume, they would have been hired by everybody, right? Offered a job.
There was this cute little kid who flew in from like Iowa. Bless his heart, he like attends virtually. He was the one person, he had a paper resume and he put on a suit and was like. Thank you for taking, like, that's how you do job fairs.
Yes.
Everyone else was in their flannels. It was just very different. I don't know. We just might need to think about how we recruit people and what that looks like, because it was not a job fair year.
Well, unfortunately, what's going on around the state, there's gonna be a lot of people looking for a job here very
Yeah.
soon.
Like now.
Yeah.
Not a month ago.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes, coach.
I'm gonna say they did so good today. They were the cutest little T-ballers. So cute.
So
That was the biggest crowd of fans I'd ever
Right?
seen.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it was cute. Okay. So this is the lunch fund. Let's make it bigger. Okay, perfect. And I double checked, it really was $1 for student meals. This month, I'm assuming somebody had to pay something. Anyhow, the total for April was 30,048. The reason for this is March is obviously a shorter month because of spring break, so the reimbursements are less. But we do know, and what we're budgeting for next year is that because of the CEP, the general fund is going to have to support the lunch food program, which is great in the sense that, you know, we're feeding all of our kids. And I know numbers are going up, so more kids are participating and eating, and so it's a win-win. You know, and we are able to support the food service program. So, but I just wanted to let you know that after seeing this and understanding truly how the reimbursements work, that we definitely will, it'll be an ongoing thing unless we continue to move up our percentages, our reimbursement percentages, but we don't have enough folks that qualify to get us to 100% reimbursement. But it's okay.
About how much of our general fund, and how do we look at like what we're getting in the reimbursement, and how much more we're spending?
So what I budgeted for next year, off the top of my head, is like a little over 80,000. And in prior years, prior to us being on this and prior to COVID, I think Yale used to run like an ending fund balance in that fund anywhere, you know, between 20 to 40,000. So
Somewhere,
yeah. Yeah.
That's what we're going, action items later, right, is the moving over the extra 40?
For this year, yeah, I budgeted for 40, a little over 40 this year, and we're going to do more. So yeah, we get 100% reimbursement for a portion of our reimbursements, and then we get a small match from the state for being in the program, but it's definitely not 100%, which again, kids are eating and like numbers are really growing, so that's what matters.
What percentage are we, how close are we to 100%?
Oh, I'd have to get back to you on that.
Around,
I want to say 60%. Does that sound right? Yeah.
we're around 60 right now.
Right, and I can't remember what the threshold, there's like a sliding scale
Okay.
of where you get to, I think we're at 60% reimbursement. Yeah, I can email you though and
Oh,
get,
it's okay, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So next year we have another chance to,
we do have it. Stacy just went through the process. Our numbers went up just a smidge. And so by doing that, we are now guaranteed to be in the program for another 5 years.
okay,
Yeah, so that's why we were able to do it because we entered, I think, partway this year.
okay,
So yes,
Good.
we're guaranteed to be in it for 5 years.
so we have a chance.
Yeah. Yep. And Stacey's also gonna look to see, you know, if there's opportunities for savings on the other side as well. So. Okay, and total expenses for April was make sure my columns are. Okay, 45,491. So right now, our ending fund balance is about negative 32,000. But based on where we're gonna end up, that's where the extra appropriation was asked for, just in case. Any questions on this? And also, mind you, we did start this year at a negative fund balance because I didn't anticipate us needing to use it, so it's not quite as bad. I mean, we went into it negative 12,000, and so to end it, if we ended somewhere, you know, negative 78,000 or so, it's not quite as bad as the number sounds because we started it. So, okay, and then. Okay, so general fund, April is our last kind of normal month, so to speak, in terms of revenue and expenses, because in May we get, you know, the remaining of our state school fund, and then we have all of our sports and stipends go out in May, and then in June, obviously we pay out our 3 months paychecks. So April is our last kind of normal month. Highlights, so our state school fund did go up in April. And that's just to carry out for the rest of the year. And then the 751, 229, that is our estimate for May. That's kind of what we're gonna finish off for the year. And that increase is due to the reconciliation of the prior 2 years. So that's where that increased number is. And then we did the 43,000 in federal grants is just some ESSER funding that I claimed. And then the transfers of the 28,000 were some like student fees, athletic gates, or excuse me, not gates, athletic student fees, transferred that in. So that's where that money came from. So our total, total revenue is 776,830. So right now we are trending above goal of 110%. And then expenses for the month, like I said, this is a fairly normal month. Expenses are 785,630. Right now, we're trending at like 2.1 any fund balance. I imagine that's gonna go down probably in the month of June as the the little remaining things come through. What we're budgeting next year's budget on is based on a $1.5 million any fund balance. And so I don't think it'll go down that much, obviously, but we built in a cushion in there as well. So any questions on this? at all? Okay,
Thank you.
yep. Did you have any questions about the appropriation that I can answer now?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for the sponsor.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay, all right, Superintendent Stuckey. Superintendent report.
Well, good evening, Chair Fowl, members of the board. Tonight, I snuck something in that is not in your packet, and it's something important. We have student enrollment, some great news that I wanted to share with everyone in case you have not heard the news, a bond update and the math materials textbook adoption information for your consideration as we recommend to you possibly adopting the curriculum tonight. For our enrollment update, 0 transfer requests in and out, although we've seen based on enrollment, there is some movement there. And it is noted that we are down 30 students from where we were in September. So I'm wondering what questions this might bring for you, if any.
Looked at that and I was like, why?
Yes.
I mean, I went, why?
So it's been an interesting combination of families moving out, a few transfer requests that have been revoked for not honoring the contract of transfers, and basically some 10-day drops. There hasn't been a specific reason such as Mount Angel School District has not done right by my child, something like that. So it's interesting though, it's very heavy. We're starting to see a wave of transfer requests coming in from Silverton.
Yeah.
And as I had shared with some other board members previously, right now for kindergarten through 6th grade, those are self-contained classrooms. We need to be very careful not to overload them. So I can't just approve every transfer request that's coming in. I really need to look at what the current enrollment is. If we have fictitiously, the 4th grade has 42 students in it. Well, if there are 2 classrooms next year, I know that I could go ahead and approve a couple. But for most likely, most of the K-6 transfer requests coming in from Silverton are going to be in a holding pattern until August, until we really see what we have to make sure and serve our community well first. So the good news is they're coming in. Hopefully we can balance that, being able to support other communities, but take care of them. Any questions? Okay, so here's the great news. Really important to acknowledge Kevin Moffitt, our athletic director. He was selected by the Oregon Association of Athletic Directors as the State Athletic Director of the Year for small schools, 1A, 2A, and 3A. Big honor. It acknowledges his leadership in the league and across the classification. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Kevin Moffitt does a great amount of work at the state and regional level in leadership and representation. And so he truly does stand out, and really proud of not only his leadership, but very apparent his service to other people. He's just very willing to help others and the positive example that he sets for students. So great news, good going, Mr. Moffitt. Bond update, a few things for design bid build, delivery method. The schematic design verification is complete, and the next step is construction documents for bid packages. The bid packages will be completed and published very soon, May 22nd. Work to be included is a mini split installation in the technology area out in the CTE building at JFK. There are servers out there and there's no air conditioning to take care of what's the investment that's been put out there. And then also bus barn roof repairs and LED retrofit lighting. For progressive design build, this is what's been happening. The design and engineered permit drawings for multi-zone units at MAMS and JFK. Permit drawings for window replacement at JFK and St. Mary's have been submitted. Design options for JFK bathrooms are being reviewed by the district. Specifically, Mrs. Brendan has been able to provide some great input there with her staff on that. Design is underway for the multi-zone unit refurbishments at JFK and MAMS. And upcoming design options to be reviewed by the district for MAMS pod entrance replacements and access control options. Some pictures, always important to see what's going on out there. What exactly are these contractors doing right now? Why are they on the property? This is an example of poor drainage and roofing issues that will be repaired by the progressive design team in both phase 1 and phase 2. The ponding, as you can see, is quite significant. And I can't tell whether some of it is the slope of the roof or how much of it is repair needed, but it's going to be addressed. And then it should say progressive PDB team did a thorough assessment of the gutters, roofing, downspouts, fascia boards at MAMS. They have recommended several repairs to help address the poor drainage. The design for this work is proceeding. Some miscellaneous things coming up with the bond. Contractors will mobilize after the last day of school. They are going to use every day they can. The owner and owner's representative OTAC meetings occur every other Wednesday. Although that's the official meetings, we generally meet 3 to 4 times a week outside of that as things come up. The progressive design build team owner, architect, and contractor meetings occur every Thursday. And the next bond oversight committee meeting is coming up later this week on Thursday evening. Oops, before I head into seismic, are there questions? Okay, so I haven't come forth with seismic information for a while, but it is here. Let me tell you, I picked the low hanging fruit. You'll find in your packet a very specific list of everything scheduled day by day, week by week, each window for every project. But these are some of the low hanging fruit things. Floor protection and dust control in the gym is going to happen while students are still in the building. Which is one of the reasons you'll see later why we're going to have fencing around parts of the gym. June 6th through 10th, covered area demolition. Again, fencing is going to be really important. And I'm assuming all of you know what the covered area right outside the gym, yes. Gym demo, June 10th through the 18th, June 18th through July 7th. The cafeteria and music room, health room demo, June 16th through the 21st, the north and south roof sections demo, And June 24th through July 3rd, roof rot repair and seismic upgrades. So those are just some of the few things you'll find in the details. Again, within your board packet, you'll find that detailed schedule. I wanted to include a couple of pictures that hopefully haven't caused too much heartburn for Mr. Taylor. You're going to see here that the lay down area is going to be taking up part of the parking lot, and that is while school is still in session. So in consulting with Mr. Taylor, we feel there's enough space to get around there, even for the buses, but it implies some pretty consistent, clear communication with parents, families, and with Maze, everybody to know what's going on there. So there's plenty of work to do to get the information out in the upcoming weeks. You'll see in the red, that construction area, that is around the covered area where there's going to be some demo, and that fencing will be there. And then as soon as students are out and staff are out, then there'll be a fencing again around a larger area. Are there questions on that? I'm sorry about it.
So if it's raining the last 2 weeks of school, what is the plan for that classroom that's being taken over?
So, really, it's the 1 week of school, that very last week. And that's generally celebratory type of things. We have beach trip and other things going on. And she has a classroom that would be accessible to help. So she can use the helper, but just means that if it rains, we won't be outside, she'll be delivering lessons. It's one of these decision points around, I think it's super important for the amount of work that needs to be done to get them in as early as possible. And if we can offer them another week, I think we should do that.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Other questions? Seismic. A lot going on in a short amount of time, but their aim, if I'm remembering correctly, is to be done with the major scope by mid-August, and then smaller details right before the kids come. So that's a good healthy time. The last thing I wanted to share with you, I've already shared some of these slides, but possibly those that will watch this or are watching it right now don't have this information. So it's just a brief reminder about the process for making a recommendation to you for textbook materials for math. Steps in the process, first really looking, how do we feel about our own materials? And not only how do we feel, but what's the data telling us? You can feel one way, but the data is what really drives the decision. So what's working and what's not working? Also taking a look at what was done at the state level, because the work was largely done for us through teacher ratings. Why reinvent the wheel? We don't have to. The committee of teachers prioritized all of the publishers from the state level, really analyzed, why did they get a 0 here and that one got a 3? I think I want to learn more about this publisher, but not the other. So prioritization took place, and that's where the decision was made, which publishers to send materials. When those materials came to the committee members did individual review and scoring of publisher programs. And then when all of those ratings had been done individually, then they were compared side by side. So all committee members could see what really stood out. And it was pretty easy to see what stood out at all levels. And there was identification of the programs to recommend to you this evening. Okay, this is a lot of money. I'll just put that out there in case you didn't see this yet in your board packet. It is a lot of money. Grades K through 8 estimated $135,000. The good part to this is it includes robust professional development, which is what this is all about. If you want it to stick, that's what it takes, is good professional development, and not just a one and done, but throughout the year. So that was a strong request from us. It also includes 7 years of workbooks for students, which when I first looked at the price, I was I had some heartburn, but when they clarified that. The workbooks at all levels, K-8 got very strong ratings from everyone on the committee at those levels. Grades 9 through 12, still working through that negotiation process. My guess is it'll be about $30-ish thousand. And it will include student textbooks and teacher editions and 7 years of access to the digital program. I want to clarify tonight where this funding is coming from, because knowing we're watching what's happening around us with budgets in other districts. Thanks to very conservative planning on the part of Christy and work with Christy, we were very strategic in not using our ESSER dollars for funding staff. A lot of the districts around us that are doing a reduction in force right now did exactly that. They put their ESSER dollars into people. And we knew that that wasn't going to be a smart strategy. So we have ESSER money tucked away for this. It has to be spent by September 30th. And a minimum of 20% of the ESSER funds have to go for learning loss and or quality. So this is actually a really good match.
Is there any professional development for the grades 9 through 12?
There will be, yes.
Okay.
Just haven't gotten
Is
to
that
that
just
part
in
of
the
the discussion.
negotiation still?
Yes, but just as important at that level.
Right.
Absolutely. These slides you've seen before, but just wanted to review with you. K5 is recommending to the board iReady from Curriculum Associates. High rankings in student engagement, making sure that the learning is accessible for every student, strong supports for staff, and the program components of differentiation, fluency, and problem-solving application. For grades 6 through 8, I have to tell you, and I've shared this already, I'm going to share it again. The teachers teaching math at the middle school are so excited to have the possibility of materials that are K-8 aligned, rather than having two separate systems. They're really eager to make that happen. So they are also recommending to the board already lots of real world examples at the middle school level, lots of opportunities for students to collaborate. And one of the things I really enjoy seeing on this program is that there are a lot of manipulatives hands-on, which is still needed at secondary, right? Sometimes that is forgotten, and it's very much needed to make that jump to the abstract. Student engage, high levels of learning, scaffolded lessons that support not only tier 2, but tier 3, and diagnostic assessments, very strong interest from the teachers in having those. Supports for staff, same as with K5. The digital component, problem solving, application problems, very important, and differentiation, which only can help teachers. And then for grades 9 through 12, the recommendation is Envision, which comes from Savas. And it is highly ranked in their real world examples, opportunities to collaborate, visuals, strong family connection, which is a nice and refreshing piece to see, especially at secondary. High levels of learning for all. We can guarantee each student has success because there will be scaffolded lessons, problem solving, a multitude of assessments, formative, interim, and summative. And the readability is not prohibitive to most students. And then supports for staff, realistic pacing. Please don't provide a textbook to me that has 2 years worth of instruction when I only have 9 months to teach it. So very important. The modules within the program are adaptable and can be moved around. And there are many supplemental resources for students and for teachers. Program components that ranked highly. This was consistent for the whole committee, problem solving and application of problems. Digital program, fluency practice, and student-friendly resources. So in summary, The recommendations for your consideration this evening were K5, iReady, grades 6, 8, also iReady, and grades 9 through 12 Envision. May I answer any questions for you? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to board member reports. Moving on to public forum. Jill, do we have anybody online that signed up just now? Okay, seeing that there's nobody online or in person. We're gonna move on to action items, MacBook textbook adoption. Superintendent Stuckey went over the 3 recommendations and why they're being recommended.
I move to approve the recommended math materials for grades K through 12.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just thanks to everyone who invested time and effort and good strategic planning on the budgeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Successes all around.
Take a vote, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Out of state travel FBLA nationals, we have 4 girls that have qualified for nationals. June 27th through July 3rd. And their advisor, Mr. Morrissey, has given us all the information and itinerary in our board packet. And because they're going to be out of state, we have to approve it as a board.
I move to approve the out-of-state travel for JFK students to participate in the Future Business Leaders of America Nationals.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any abstaining?
I will abstain, Jill.
Sorry, Mr. Brendan.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was on my notes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Brendan is going to be abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Say 4 yeas, 1 abstaining. All right. Resolution approval amendment appropriations of expenditures, so. Christie provided us a great detail of money. It's moving over for curriculum, food service, bus fund, bond. And then there's 2 different sections, right? And then the SIA. SSA, HSS, sorry. For the literacy and the bond. Does anybody have any questions when it comes to this for Christie?
We're just moving the buckets, right?
Moving the buckets, not the money.
Be it resolved that the board hereby adopts the amended appropriation level for funds 201, 206, 251, 403, 204, 215, and 401 for the 2023-24 fiscal year in compliance with Oregon budget law.
Second. Good. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Passes unanimously. All right, great news. Classification Association agreement between Classified Union and the district. So good work to all those that were part of that process. Thank you so much. Do I have somebody to?
I move to approve the 2024-2027 agreement between Manager School District 91 and Manager Classified Employees Association.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Just want to say, like I said, thanks to people from the district as well as Mrs. Karen Wright for being a part of the process and making it as smooth as possible. We appreciate your time dedicated to that process. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Our board policy committee was busy this month. Yes. Superintendent Stuckey, do you want to?
Yes,
Discuss.
absolutely. Well,
Policies?
part of what caused us to bring more forward is that we found a better method to to look at policy. And so you do see a different format for you tonight than what you're used to. By the way, give me feedback on whether this is workable for you. But one way we approached it differently is instead of tackling line by line the policy, to look at the actual law first and how many policies were impacted by that one law change. So that's why it looks differently tonight. So you'll see first that we have House Bill 2281. This is a policy change that was required and it only impacted one policy, AC non-discrimination, because it included the use of the term discrimination, and that was further defined in the bill. So what you'll find in the policy in the packet is just that one piece change there. So there's that. Are there any questions? No? Okay. So the next is not based on a law, but it's based on, I would say, OSBA used the word required. I would say a very strong recommendation, pardon me, to look at the evaluations of superintendents and administrators, and that impacts two policies, CBG and CCG. The option that the policy committee took here, because we have a good policy already, but we wanted to strengthen it by adding the words in there. Frequent feedback for administrators, like what the board provides to me every 3 months. That's just as important for principals and for directors. So there are, one, no surprises, but two, getting a good back never hurts when we can get that more frequently, right? So those recommendations were just to add that language. Pardon me. Under House Bill 2280, we saw that one policy was impacted, which was policy GBN/JBA, sexual harassment. There is a definition change coming from House Bill 2280. The definition changes the meaning of assault and adds to the meaning without consent. And then finally, this is the final one, for Senate Bill 1024, restraint and seclusion. That bill was first introduced in 2023, and then during the last summer's the summer session, this winter's short session, there were additional modifications to that law. And that impacts policies JGAB and JGAB administrative rule for AR. Are there questions to answer for you? Thank you for that feedback. You will find coming up from the policy committee, there are some laws that impact over 15 policies. So we started with the easy stuff.
Yes, we did. Well, this one's short.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Policy Committee. Bond Oversight Committee update. Ms. Fowl.
Mrs. Fowl. So update's a little bit different tonight. We're gonna do a look back and a look ahead. So the recent scheduled meetings for the Bond Oversight Committee were modified to accommodate needs of the bond managers and schedules of the committee members. Because of that, last month's meeting was actually held on April 24th. OTAC presented a revised budget estimate of project costs based on current contract estimates. The overall budget was virtually unchanged, and the Bond Oversight Committee moved to have OTAC continue with the budget amounts as presented. The reason this is important is Progressive Design build they design to the budget, and so getting the allocations correct for the general ideas of where we're headed was pretty important, so that they could continue on their way forward. There was a lengthy discussion around the HVAC controls. This will need to be revisited at next month's meeting, to get further clarifications as to the responsibilities and inputs, both from the district and the bond oversight committee on, this and similar items. The next meeting is scheduled for May 16th. In addition to the progress reporting from OTAC, there will be two main points. The first of which is clarifications of responsibilities and definitions for the bond oversight committee. Essentially what has happened is the charter and the racing matrix, those were extensively researched and drafted prior to the alternative contracting method being adopted. And now that we have revisited those, it's clear that there needs to be some modifications to maintain the proper level of control, both for the district, input for the oversight committee, and essentially all parts involved. So we'll be addressing that the next meeting. And then the last item is we will be transitioning to a new oversight committee chair. I will be resigning from the chair position at the beginning of the meeting. The reason for this is I believe the effective oversight committee should contain three parts. District staff that can communicate the program needs and staff and student priorities. Subject matter experts that can communicate processes, intricacies, and additional opportunities or concerns. And a chair that can share the space with all the voices, moderate the meetings effectively, and respectfully bring the group to a consensus. To date, I have been attempting to balance the last two roles, and I believe that's causing me to be less than optimal in either. I find myself coming into meetings with predetermined conclusions based on my professional history and personal beliefs. I then struggle to balance advocating for the issues relating to the subject matter while moderating and driving the meeting in an inclusive way. So with this, I feel this will strengthen the oversight committee as a whole moving forward. Any questions?
Mr. Fell, thank you for all your work. You're still on the committee, right?
I'm still currently on the committee. I'm just not gonna be
You're
able,
not gonna be the chair.
I'm not gonna be the chair anymore.
There you go.
And I have to admit, I've talked with Superintendent Stuckey at length at this, which I appreciate. And just being able to focus solely on advocating and not all of those duties that come with running a meeting has allowed, I think, clearer communication, and I know that it's been easier to identify concerns moving forward, and it sparked some very good conversation moving forward as to some modifications.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
I second that. Thank you, Joe. And yeah, being a subject matter expert as part of the committee would be a good lane for Joe.
Yeah, because let's be honest, if I'm both, I'm gonna just do my best to drive the committee to what I want.
Yes.
So
Now you-
it's better now. I just
What
have,
you want as, yeah.
yes, I'll just have my one voice. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you.
All right, student representatives to the board, we do have in your email, see the application. So next month's meeting, we will be announcing who our new student rep to the board is going to be, as well as Mr. Hoffman's last meeting as our current student rep. He has set the bar high.
And you're for sure graduating?
Not this year. Did you?
He's not done.
No, you're true. But you didn't put your name.
You're on
it.
track to graduate.
I'm on track, yeah. All right now, yeah.
So we will be announcing our new student rep to the board next month, and we will be inviting this person to meet us. And remember, next month's school board meeting is on Wednesday, June 12th. Due to all the graduations and promotions of that week, so Wednesday, June 12th, regular time, 6:30.
When is the fifth grade graduation?
Fifth grade promotion is
So Wednesday.
Tuesday,
The 11th?
the 11th, Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
And do we have a work session?
Yes, on the
Yes.
21st for early literacy.
Okay.
So Kathleen French will be presenting the majority of that.
That's next Tuesday, right?
Yes.
And then we have budget
Budget.
meetings coming up.
Mhm.
What are those?
Next Monday.
Next Monday.
Monday, the 20th budget committee meeting, Tuesday, the 21st work session.
Budget.
And
Perfect.
if we could wrap that up, on Monday, then we won't have to have another one, those Tuesday after Memorial Day.
Let's
weekend.
just hope.
How does that look? Business manager?
I mean, I'm ready.
She's ready.
I'm ready.
Ready.
Yeah.
You're ready.
I find, as having been on the budget committee for a long time, when you have new members, it can take a little longer and a second meeting can really be helpful, for when you have a new member to the committee, just to allow them space and time to kind of
We have new
get
member.
there.
We do have a new
Have a new
member
member.
Yeah.
that we
So I'm
approved
just saying
last meeting.
Yeah,
How wonderful to have new members.
There's a bit of a learning curve when you enter the arena of public budgeting.
Public prejudice.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.
I was